Okay. Um, Bonjour. Uh, I am in the Jardin des Tuileries. It is a garden that is situated between the Louvre and the Champs-Élysées, which leads to the Arc de Triomphe. Right now it's the afternoon and it's a very hot day, so there are a lot of people walking around, and there are a lot of people just taking a stroll and sitting in cafes, sitting in the shade. It seems like it's also a popular place to bring kids. I think that I want to talk about the cafes for just a second, because there are cafes all over Paris, even here. And I think cafe life is something that's not very common in the United States. I mean, there are cafes in the United States, but it's not like this. So, for example, when you go to a cafe, it's like something that you would do quite often. It's not just something that you would do to meet up with a friend that you haven't seen in a very, very long time. You do this just to hang out with the people you see every day. And you go and you can order drinks, you can order small dishes. And when you walk through Paris, there are cafes on every street. And I've been wondering, oh, how do you know what's good? But I think you just have to follow the crowds. Something I've noticed about Paris is that everyone is very polite. Um, you know, you always say bonjour or bonsoir when you enter a store, when you see people, when you're going up to little stands, anywhere to buy anything. And you always say merci at the end. And sometimes people will say bonjourne, which means have a good day. What else is there to talk about? There's a lot. Let's see. Oh, this is a random thought. There are a lot of McDonald's here, which is really strange. But the food is very different. I haven't personally had the chance to go, but I've heard from several friends that the food at the McDonald's is definitely of higher quality than in the United States. And I think, even from my own observations, it's probably because food laws and regulations are much higher here. That would be my best guess. Even the hotel breakfast, everything just tastes really fresh, and it doesn't seem like there are a lot of preservatives in all of the foods. Even today I went to a market and they are selling fresh produce and fish and nuts and olives and all sorts of delicious food, and it's all fresh. And people go there on a regular basis just to get their food. Or another example is a common downtown grocery store of sorts. It's a bit like a Target. It's called Monoprix, and it has clothes and some kitchen supplies and office supplies, and then it has toiletries and your hair care products. But then at least at the Monoprix that I've been to, on the bottom floor you'll find the food, and down there, everything looks delicious. There's lots of meat and cheese, of course. When I first went to buy groceries, I was super excited to buy all the new foods that I hadn't seen before. And in some senses, the grocery store is similar to the United States. I mean, there's a self-checkout. Everything's organized in a similar way, and there were some familiar brands, but not everything. And I had to ask the man in French who was there to help me pay for bananas by weight. I've had a really great time practicing my French. I try to use it wherever I go. Although I try to use my French as often as possible, I have noticed that a lot of people do speak English, and it's probably because we're in a very touristy area, and people working here are expecting people from lots of different countries to come through. Another cool thing that I've heard just walking around and being in the cities. A lot of Spanish as well, which surprised me. I'm sure it's primarily due to tourists and not local residents. But it's been cool to hear Spanish because that's the second language that I know best. But yeah, I really enjoyed practicing French, and I'm hoping to get better at it. Oh, here's another thing I could talk about is the metro system. I've had a great time using the metro to get everywhere. I got to Paris, and I was surprised at how comfortable I felt right away. It was the first night, and I took the metro alone, and I was very comfortable with it, and I don't really have too much trouble finding out where I need to go, and when I need to transfer and which direction I need to go. And I just really enjoy it. It's kind of like an adventure to take the metro alone when you're not familiar with it, at least. I just find it really exciting. Some other things I've done are I've also taken a lot of walks alone through the city, and it's nice to just be on my own and listen to people talking and walking. There was one time when I went behind our hotel where there's an alley, and the alleys are not dark and scary or anything like that. I went in the evening, and actually most of the alleys are just lined with shops and restaurants, and I just stood at a corner for a little bit and watched people walk by. There were lots of college students where I was because we're very close to several of France's main universities, which are in the Latin Quarter. And so there were lots of students, and then lots of people walking to and from work. And if you walk a little bit further back into the area behind our hotel, you'll find lots and lots of restaurants. Restaurants at every corner. And I've always known that Paris is famous for its food, but when you get here, you really realize there's so many restaurants, and it's not possible to try them all, which is why I've just been advised to follow the crowds. And yeah, let's see, what's something else I can mention? Yeah, so here in Paris, and probably the rest of the country, the rest of France as well, people are not very loud. People don't talk very loudly at all, so you can pretty easily identify people who are not locals just by the volume of their voice. I haven't had too much of an issue with it, but I've just tried to be respectful of that and not be obnoxious. And I think it's kind of nice to just have life be a little bit quieter. But yeah, I think that's just part of the etiquette here, part of the manners, being polite. So yeah, that's all I have to say for now, but bye bye.